Hello fellow tankers, this is Dauntless, and today I'm going to be playing in my newly acquired Tier 8 German medium tank, the Panzer 58 Black Edition. I almost said Mutz there. The Mutz is the one that has the white bear camouflage right on the side of the tank, and I personally think it's kind of hideous, and I never bought the vehicle because of it. But when Wargaming introduced this baby, I couldn't resist. I had to buy it. You know, it has the sweet black camouflage paint job as well as that same emblem on the Leopard. And I thought, okay, this is a great opportunity to purchase this vehicle, train up a crew, and once I get the Leopard on this account, I'll be able to have just a nice crew right out the get-go. So I went ahead and purchased this. 20 bucks is a screaming deal for a Tier 8 premium vehicle, and I would highly recommend getting one if you haven't already. It's probably going to be in the cash shop for the next couple days. And again, it is great for making credits as well. This vehicle boasts 212 penetration with .36 accuracy, which is pretty decent for a gold tank. And the -10 gun depression this vehicle has allows it to really play ridgelines well and put good shots into enemies. It'll go right through an IS-6 like it's butter. The top speed on this vehicle is 50, and it has a power to weight ratio of 17 horsepower per ton, and that actually lets this vehicle get up to its top speed very quickly and stay there even when you're climbing hills. The ground resistances on this vehicle are quite nice as well, and it does make this tank quite nimble. It's not super nimble like a light tank, but it is quite decent, especially when you compare it to other medium tanks like this T-34-3 that's sitting next to me here. So anyway guys, we'll get into some pre-game analysis here. The first thing that I noticed when I looked at the enemy team is the fact that they do have some stronger medium tank players as well as this light tank. And to counter that, our team really doesn't have a lot. We do have medium tank players, they are just not as good, and if they were to go head to head, we would definitely lose. And my vehicle, again, because the lack of armor and the low DPM, I'm not able to brawl with them effectively. And I need to put myself in more of a defensive position and snipe at them from a distance and then close the gap as the battle progresses and I have an HP advantage over them. We have one good player here, Creed, in his T26E5, and I end up platooning with him actually, and he does a great job holding the middle here. They have a couple heavy tanks, which I assume would come around this way, but because we do have an E75, which will most likely push this way, I'm assuming he's going to be a good roadblock and they won't be able to push this side very aggressively. They also have a few tank destroyers, but they'll probably be camping here, and I'm not going to really worry about this flank or this flank. Medium tanks on this map usually rush here when the players are good, and sometimes here in the middle. I'm assuming the light tank will take the hill. I'm not, again, worried about him. He's just a light vehicle. And I need to find a way to suppress the enemies here and here to win. And the primary reason why I'm showing you guys this replay is because there's a really good spot on this map that allows you to suppress enemies here and here when you're in a paper vehicle. It's one of my favorite locations, and it's only good when you're playing on this side of the map. Some of you might know it, but some of you might not, and for those that don't, I think you guys will enjoy playing this location. So we'll get started here. Whenever you push into this area, I highly recommend going around and not up the 1-2 line. If you get spotted halfway up and you get tracked, or the tank destroyer hits you or something like that, multiple times I've come this way and I get tracked, or I get just, you know, surrounded by their medium tank players, and I just die without doing any damage, and it's really disappointing. And when you're trying to go for your 3 marks or anything like that, it's really important that you play consistently, and taking risks like that, especially when you're just starting the game, it's not the smartest idea. So you'll notice that their VK is pushing across here as well as their T44-100, which is a good player. And I'm trying to put some shots into them, but I am unable to do so. The gun handling when you're driving with this vehicle isn't the best. It's more of a stationary tank. So I'll show you exactly what I'm doing here. The location that I'm pushing into is behind this bush. There's a boulder here that you can kind of see, and it's a great spot to sit behind if you've never seen it before. The important thing is when you do play this area is that you swing towards this rock and you hug it, and then you push out. If you swing wide, or if you swing straight like this and you don't swing wide, you're leaving yourself open to being hit by artillery. Anything on the hill, anything sitting here will have the opportunity to hit you. And if you ever are playing this map and you decide to hit this location, make sure you're in a fast enough vehicle to get there. And if the enemy has any good tanks with clip potential, like the Skoda T50, the Batchat, anything like that, if you try to take this location and they're good players, I would avoid it, just because they will sit up here waiting for tanks to push across, and getting up into this location, unless you're in a light tank and can get there very quickly. I've been clipped out a few times, and I don't. It's not a very good idea. I don't recommend it. Alternatively, if they have vehicles pushing over here very aggressively, and right now these two tanks are suppressing anything pushing around, but you'll have, if these guys weren't here and they had pushed around here, I would leave myself completely open by driving through here. So again, if they have fast tanks with clips, do not push this area. Also, if they have tanks coming around here really aggressive, do not push this area. You can stop here if you decide against it, but you'll put yourself into kind of a bad situation. So really think this one out before you take this spot. So what makes this spot really, really good, in my opinion, and it does make the map kind of unbalanced, because the other side actually doesn't have anything like this. You have a big rock you can hide behind, and artillery can't hit you for the most part, unless they have an extremely high arc like the Conqueror gun carrier. And it lets you put shots into these guys all day long without ever getting lit. It's very, very unbalanced, if you ask me, and Wargaming may take this location out of the map someday. But I've been playing this for about a year now, and ever since I discovered it, and it's still here, so take advantage of it while you still can. So you'll notice I don't have 6th Sense yet on this tank since I just bought it, but these vehicles have not lit me, or else I think they would be shooting at me right now. Something that you'll notice as well is, because of these good bushes here, if you're ever in a situation where you get here and the enemy has pushed some strong vehicles here and they're all sitting in this area clumped up and we have artillery, a lot of the time the vehicles will push around here getting shots up to where Creed is sitting, and a lot of the time they'll be unlit and artillery will want to shoot these guys, but unless something physically comes around and lights them, you can't. But when you're in this position, especially in a light tank, all you have to do is occasionally peek out like I am now, about every 10 seconds, drive forward, drive back, get yourself onto the other side of the boulder. They will not be able to light you for the most part because of the brush, and if they are close enough, they will light you, but by the time they realize you're there, you'll be unlit, or you'll be behind the boulder again. And I played a game in my 121 here a couple days ago, and I actually ended up getting 7,000 spot damage just by playing this location, as well as like 3,000 normal damage by shooting up on the hill. It was an awesome game, and I wasn't expecting to get that much assist in a medium tank, but when you're in an aggressive position like this and you have literally tanks playing right here, and you can just keep popping out, and they really can't push you when you're playing this location. Just because if they do come around and they face you, anything here is going to be able to shoot them. So they really have no choice. And if they do push all the way around to try to get you on the side of the boulder, anything here will be able to shoot them. And I've had 3 or 4 tanks actually try to YOLO me and try to kill me while I'm sitting there, and just it's very, very good defensive position. So anyway, we'll get back to the game at hand. The T26E5 is out in the open. I have APCR loaded in case he does have his front facing me. They do have very good armor, but I'm able to take him out. So this is where players need to realize that things need to change. This is what differentiates a good player from a bad player, in my opinion, is the ability to relocate immediately when you need to relocate. Again, we're going to win this game, so it doesn't really matter, but let's just say that they had a huge horde coming this way, or alternatively they had more tanks pushing this way. Now that the middle is cleared, and as well as this island is cleared, there is absolutely no reason for me to sit in this area. I guess if they did have some tanks pushing here, you can actually sit up here and get shots down into them and keep them lit, and they'll have a hard time shooting up at you. And alternatively, I guess if they did push across here, you will get shots on them. But as of now, there's absolutely no reason for me to stay here, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I could go and help that E75, but again, this tank has very paper armor, and going there I'll probably end up just being killed and getting maybe 1 or 2 shots in, but it's really not worth it. For me, my best decision here is to try to get some shots onto these tank destroyers, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Playing this tank after all the Chinese vehicles I played was just amazing because of this gun depression. There's no way I could do this in any Chinese vehicle, even the 59 Patton. Kind of a lucky shot there into the top of his tank. I'm not really sure how that went in, but it did. Maybe it was an overmatch. So now I realize that their RHM is the only thing over here other than the IS-3. And you'll see me switch over to HE ammo here in a second. I realize that if he gets lit, I want to be able to do as much damage as possible, and so these are things that are important to realize. If you're in a tank and you're like, okay, I know I'm going to be able to shoot this RHM soon, switch over to HE, and just think about those things ahead of time. See how I did 372 damage to him there? My tank normally has only 240 alpha damage, and because of that, being able to hit that high is because I have HE loaded. So I realize this guy is probably not going to push back any further, and I switch over to an AP round because I want to be able to hit this IS-3. And the RHM moves forward. I'm able to put a nice snapshot into him here and track him. Actually, I don't think I tracked him. I just critical hit him. Probably his engine. So he is killed, and I swing around and put a shot into this IS-3. And he has no interest, apparently, in shooting me, or he just doesn't have the gun depression, maybe. And he gets killed. So again, not the most exciting game. I was able to get 3,000 damage, which is nice for credit making anyway, and I didn't have to shoot that much gold. It was a tier 9 game. When you get into tier 10 battles, you really do have to spam some PCR occasionally, but for matchmaking like this, I really didn't have to tap into that gold reserve. Again, I did showcase a game where it wasn't like, right out, see how Dauntless played against all these vehicles and, used his skill to win. No, we rolled them quite well. But part of it was because I was able to sit in this location and put shots constantly into the side of these vehicles that allowed our tanks to win this flank faster. We probably would have won this regardless, but again, I've had games with my light tanks doing 3,000-4,000 damage sitting here, just constantly getting shots and then popping out and lighting things that are here. And you can have some amazing games if you can get your vehicle into this location. It's artillery safe, and it just really allows you to go to town on your enemies. So this game kind of played out how I was expecting it to. The medium tanks did push, but because of our mediums that were able to counter them here, this wasn't a problem. The middle did have quite a bit of vehicles, and as you saw, I was able to put some good shots into them. Tank destroyers were in fact camping here, and some of their heavy tanks did push around this corner. So get into the habit of really just starting to predict where enemies will go at the for the 30-second countdown, and see if you can predict accurately. If you find that you can, it will just help you that much more when you're playing this game, because then you'll be able to know what you're going to engage and where, if you're looking for a certain tank kill for a mission, or if you just want to be able to farm softer vehicles, or alternatively if you see a weakness, let's say their lack of heavy tanks and you're in a heavy tank, pushing around this corner could be their weak spot. Every map is big enough to hold all the vehicles well, but usually it leaves openings where certain tank classes would normally play, and if they lack those tanks, you can really take advantage of those weaknesses, and those opportunities can result in an easy victory if played correctly. So anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed that replay. This tank, again, it's in the cash shop for the next couple of days. If you haven't picked it up already, I would highly recommend doing so. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. It really helps this channel out, and it really makes these videos worth making. So anyway guys, I'll catch you later.